Hello everyone, this is Sean Slavin with CS3 Technology, and for our tip today, we're going to build our very first generic inquiry in Acumatica. In this video, we will cover some basic concepts and screen overviews. We will also build a very simple, single source inquiry to demonstrate the process. So let's dig right in. For our video, we've assembled a quick spreadsheet outlining the results that we're hoping to get when we finish our generic inquiry. Let's go to the invoice screen inside of Acumatica, and we're going to use a tool that Acumatica provides. It's very helpful for this. We click on Customization and Inspect Element, and then click on the field we want. You'll see that the data class, or the table, that this information is stored in is in the AR invoice table, and the data field is called doc type. So if we go back to our spreadsheet, I've taken the liberty of laying out a mapping. Here's the name of each one of our columns. Here's the source for each one of the data table source for each one of the fields. And here's the field name for each one of the things we have listed. So with this information now in hand, let's go ahead, go back into Acumatica, and get started building our first inquiry. So we're going to go to the inquiry screen, which is underneath System, Customization, Manage, Generic Inquiry. A generic inquiry screen, similar to all screens inside of Acumatica, is broken into two sections. That's the header section and the tabs. We're going to talk about half the header fields, and we're going to talk about two of the tabs today. So let's go ahead and get started building one of our generic inquiry. And we're going to start off by calling this CS3 Invoices. And the sitemap table, the actual name that will show up on the map inside of Acumatica, will be called AR Invoices. When we finish this project, we want to be able to get to this generic inquiry right off the menu in Acumatica. So let's just tell it where we want that to be. So underneath Finance, Accounts Receivable, in the Work area within the Explore menu. We'll talk about Expose via OData and the fields on the right-hand side in a future video. Next, let's go ahead and add our table. And you'll remember from our grid over here that we want to get information from the AR invoice table. So let's just type in AR invoice. And we get going, we'll see every table out that has invoice in the name. And in this case, we just want the AR.AR invoice table. Let's save that before we move on. This is a good thing to remember, to always save. Once you fill one section out, save before you move to the next one. Let's go to Results Grid, and let's add the columns we wanted. So again, going back to our spreadsheet, the next thing we want is the type, and that comes in the Document Type field. So we'll go to the Object. This is that data source. This is the table. This is provided so that if our generic inquiry is pulling data from more than one table, we can choose which table the data element is going to come from. And then we go over here. Now you can do the drop-down list and search all the way through there, or your second tip of the day is to be lazy and just type in doc typ, and the further down we get, the more you can see that there's a doc type. So I'll hit enter. We'll leave the captions defaulted to begin with. We'll talk about schema field in a future video. And on width, I'm going to set this at 120 pixels. Now that'll give us a default size. Otherwise, it could be pretty wide or pretty narrow. I'll show you what that looks like here in a few minutes on some other columns. Our next field is called ref number, and there it is. So I'll arrow down and choose that and run on through. Now through the magic of computers, we're going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit and fill this information in. So I'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're going to save our entry, and we're going to view our inquiry and see what we get. Okay, so type column looks like it's about the right width. Reference number is certainly too big. Customer is probably a little big, so is status and terms. If we scroll on over, we have description and amount, but our balance is missing for some reason. We'll go find out why that is here in just a minute. So let's go back in, go to customization here on the top right, and go to edit generic inquiry. We'll take us right back into our generic inquiry where we can go ahead and finish our cleanup here. That explains why we didn't get our balance. Let's save that and see if that fixed our issues. Credit type is looking fine. And that all looks pretty good. All right. Now let's make sure that that showed up where we wanted it to. So we'll go ahead and close the Our Invoices inquiry, and we'll refresh our screen and come down to the bottom of the work area for accounts receivable, and there are AR invoices. But click on it. There's our generic inquiry. Congratulations, everyone. You've created your first generic inquiry.